Welcome everyone. We are live for week 6. This is the season finale of the Multiclass League here at Apex 1. We are currently at the start of our qualifying session. So all drivers just completed a 15-minute practice session and now they're in their 15-minute qualifying. So as you can see from the Ferris wheel and from some of those background sites as well as the track map at the top right, we are at Suzuka for the season finale. So should be a very interesting race this week. We have 14 drivers on the grid. We have, I believe, out of the 14, I believe we have 8 or 9 in the GT3 class. And then I think we have about 4 or 5 in the GT4 class. But welcome everyone. This is your commentator, Michael. I am live here at Apex 1. So for those of you who don't know, we are a sim racing center located here in Westfield, New Jersey. Right now we have 14 full motion sims up and running where we run league racing. We do some casual events such as Friday night racing, which includes ladies race free from 6 p.m. to midnight. And we also do some race nights every Thursday night at 7:30. As well as F1 watch parties and plenty of other events. So if you guys haven't checked us out already, definitely check us out. Again, we're located in Westfield, New Jersey. You guys can also follow us on Instagram, apex1.nj. That's where we post all of our events, promos, and anything else that we're doing here at Apex 1. But if you guys want to also check out our Instagram, we have the league standings posted. But for those of you who don't want to pull up Instagram, I will just read them off. So in the GT3 class, here we go. So in the GT3 class, Hugo is the champion of the league. He has already confirmed his title. He has 102 points, even though he missed week 5. So at the moment, Hugo has a 26-point lead over Peter, who's in second. Peter is driving the Lamborghini just like Hugo is. I will switch over to Peter's perspective right now. But Peter is currently in second in the league standings. He is, of course, driving the Lamborghini Huracan. Peter has 76 points. Last week, he finished in second place. So Peter's looking for another strong result to end the season and confirm his second place. But Peter has a 15-point cushion to Matt, so I think the only way Matt ends up breaking into second place is if Matt wins the race and Peter has a disaster of the race. But Matt won't be worrying too much about Peter. Matt has 61 points, and right below him is Keith with 56 points. So the two of them are only separated by 5 points going into the final week. Matt is in the Lexus RCF. Keith is rocking the McLaren 720S. So should be a very interesting battle between the two. But moving further down the table, some of our other battles, we have 3 drivers battling between 5th, 6th, and 7th. At the moment, Chris is in 5th in the Lamborghini Huracan with 42 points. Followed by him is Vic in 6th in the Mustang with 40 points. And then in 7th, we have Shane in the Acura NSX with 39 points. So the 3 of them are only separated by 3 points. Should be very interesting to see where they end up, not only in the qualifying, but in the 45-minute race as well. In 8th place, we have David in the Porsche with 31 points. In 9th, we have John in the Lamborghini with 24 points. And then in 10th, we have Doug in the Ferrari with 14 points. And then 11th, we have Jaime in the Aston Martin with 12 points. Moving on to our GT4 class, the last week we'll definitely be producing some fireworks in the GT4 class. We're going to be following them for the start of the race, as this will be a battle for the league champion going all the way up until the final lap. So at the moment, Brian is currently the leader of the league with 103 points, although he still has a drop week. Shamus used his drop week for week 5. Shamus ended up dropping down to second due to his miss of last week. Shamus is at 97 points, so Shamus is only 6 points behind Brian. So it should be interesting to see what the two of them end up doing. They're definitely going to be battling it out, going door to door throughout the whole race. But I think Shamus should have the edge as of right now in terms of the drop week, because Brian's 103, I think, is accounting all 5 weeks. But other than that, it looks like Steven has secured third place for the end of the season, no matter what happens this race. Steven is at 73 points, so he has a 24-point gap to Shamus in front of him. And then TJ, who's behind him, is behind him by 19 points. Both Steven and TJ are both rocking the McLaren 570S for the league. And yeah, as I said, TJ's at 52 points, 19 points behind Steven. And behind TJ is Cole. Cole is in 5th in the BMW with 43 points, followed by Phil in the Mustang with 40 points. In 7th, we have Paul in the Porsche 718 Cayman with 16 points. And then in 8th, we have Sonny with 12 points in the Audi R8. But enough of the talking. I'm going to pull up the lap times as we see Paul off track. At the moment, Shane is currently leading the pack with a 203.2. So Shane is leading the pack by just under 0.6 of a second. In second place at the moment is David in the Porsche 911. David has a 203.8. Just 0.2 behind David is Matt. And Peter is just 0.05 behind Matt. The two of them are battling for third on the grid at the moment. But I did highlight the battle between Matt and Keith for the end of the season finale. At the moment, Keith is in 5th with a 204.8. So Keith's pace is 0.8 off of Matt's fastest lap. But we're just about halfway through the qualifying as you see Keith almost touching the grass. Car wiggles a little bit, but he's able to keep it under control in the McLaren. But yeah, we're just over halfway through the qualifying session now. It's a 15-minute qualifying, and we have 7 minutes remaining. But gonna be following the battle in the GT4 class now. At the moment, Brian has the edge by 0.7 of a second. Brian is currently in pole position in the GT4 in that Advan GR Supra. Brian has a 214.4, and Shamus is in second with the Chevy Camaro with a 215.1. I think we just saw, I think that was Steven. Or no, sorry, that was a TJ going off in the background in that Marlboro McLaren 570S. TJ went off into the dirt, but kept it under control a little bit at least. Seems to be no damage on the car, and he's going to remain out on track and stay out of the pit lane and finish out this qualifying session. But Shane is currently parked in the pit lane, and he is now off of his sim. So I don't know if he's going to call it quits for the qualifying session, but still 5.5 minutes. But he does have just over a half-second gap to David in second. Matt is also parked in the pit lane at the moment. Looking over at Matt's sim, Matt is currently adjusting his setup. So I know Matt's going to be looking to get back out there as soon as possible. He is just 0.2 behind David in the battle for second to start the race. But not much time to be made up for Matt. I think he's going to be making some adjustments, possibly dropping his fuel even more so that hopefully he can shave down those few tenths. But both Matt and David are going to get pushed down as Hugo has put up a 203.5 in the Lamborghini Huracan. That's going to put Hugo in second place, push David to third, and that'll push Matt into fourth place. So at the moment, it looks like nobody else has improved on their lap times. Gonna take a look over into the timing boards. Gonna go see who we could go on board with. Steven looks to be on a fast lap right now. His first sector time was a 49.6. At the moment, he is a second faster than his current fastest, which is a 217.5. So Steven would still need to improve on his current lap by a little over 1.5 seconds in order to pass Shamus. So I don't know if he'll be able to do that, but he's definitely going to want to improve on this lap to at least build up on his gap between himself and TJ as well as Cole. But at the moment, it looks like Paul still has not set a clean lap time, and Vic has set a clean lap time, but I think that was only his out lap. At the moment, Vic is at a 2:56, so he's about 35 seconds slower than the slowest GT4 driver, and Vic just went off into the grass once again. So not much time left in the qualifying session for Vic to get it together, but there you see him going off into the dirt again in the John Player Special Mustang. But yeah, three minutes left for Vic to get it together and put up a fast lap. But at the moment, Keith is in 7th, and there you see the two drivers, Keith and Matt, who are battling for position in the overall standings. The two drivers go on their out lap at the same time. So Matt is just a half second in front of Keith. So Keith is definitely going to be pushing it, and is also going to be hoping that Matt makes no mistakes, because if there's any mistakes made from Matt, it's only going to hurt Keith, as it'll compromise his lap time. But there you see Keith kissing the grass, and his back tires are going to spin out a little bit, but he's going to keep it on the track and continue with his qualifying session. So 2 minutes to go. Keith is at a 2:04.8, and Matt is at a 2:04.0. So 0.8 separates the two drivers. And I just saw Peter push Paul out of the way. Paul is now into the wall, off into the dirt. I don't know what happened with Matt, but Matt's now in the pit lane. He's going to call it quits. Only 1/100th of a second separated Matt and Peter for 4th place. So Matt just misses out on the position. Peter remains out on track. Both David and Matt, as well as Chris, are all in the pit lane. Shane is now back on track, as well as Hugo. Hugo is going to look to improve his lap time by 0.3 in order to qualify in first. And actually missed it, but it looks like Shamus has demolished Brian's fastest lap by 1.1 seconds. Shamus put up a 113.3, which puts him in first place. Brian is now in second with a 214.4. So it looks like most of our drivers are just about ending their qualifying session. Keith remains out on track. I know Keith isn't happy with his lap time. At the moment, besides Vic, he's at the back of the pack of the GT3 class, and Keith needs a result for this race. He, at the very least, needs to finish above Matt. But it looks like Vic still has not set a clean lap, as well as Paul. But we're going to go back on board with Keith. And actually, just as I said that, Vic finally set a fast clean lap. but it's a 2:06.7, which is 2 seconds off of Keith, who's in 7th. So it's not going to be enough to advance Vic in terms of starting position on the starting grid. But we're in overtime now, so all drivers that are still out on the track are completing their final lap. But Hugo ended up improving on his lap time and put up a 2:03.194. So he's going to edge out Shane by 0.09 of a second. Hugo will be starting in first. Shane will be starting in second. And then it looks like David will be in third, followed by Peter, Matt. Chris will be in sixth. At the moment, Keith is in 7th. But Keith is just about to cross the line. He improved on his first 2 sectors. And Keith is going to beat out Chris by 1/10 of a second. Keith is going to put up a 2:04.4, which is going to put him in 6th place. It's not going to be enough to finish ahead of Matt. So Keith is 0.4 of a second off of Matt. And looks like those will be all the positions finalized for the GT3 class. Shamus remains out on track, but Brian is in the pits, so Shamus does not need to worry about improving on his lap, which I don't believe he did. But yeah, Hugo will start the race in first place in the GT3 class, followed by Shane and then David. And then in the GT4 class, Shamus will be starting in first, followed by Brian and then Steven. So again, Brian and Shamus are going to be battling it out. The two of them are very close in terms of points in the overall league standings. But at the moment, Shamus is looking faster by 1.3 seconds. So I believe that'll be the end of the qualifying. Peter's now done. Paul is the only driver still out on track. Paul actually put up a 218.3, which was able to qualify him ahead of both TJ and Cole. Paul beats out TJ by 0.3, and he beats out Cole by 0.9 of a second. So not bad from Paul. He's 1.4 seconds off of Steven in the battle for third in the GT4 standings. Paul's first 2 sectors were not quicker. I believe he's going to improve his lap time by 0.3 though, which is going to put him right even with Steven. So Paul, no, sorry, he's still a bit off. Paul gets a 218.29, which will qualify him in 4th for the GT4 class. But yeah, Hugo and Shane very close in terms of lap times, but should be an interesting race. Again, this is the season finale, so for all of you that are tuning in, I expect some early fireworks as well as some late fireworks, but we're gonna have a 1.5-minute break, I believe, followed by another 3-minute break before the start of the race. But I will be right back for the 45-minute race. So we're back. We are 45 seconds in until the start of the race. Let me get our drone camera ready. But here you see all our drivers on the grid for the race. We have Cole in the back with TJ. And then we have Brian as well as Shamus. But I'm going to follow Shamus for the start of the race. And it is lights out and away we go. Season finale here at Suzuka. There you see all drivers keeping it clean so far. Although Vic hits Peter, Peter goes out. Peter is spun. Brian passed Shamus. Brian is now ahead. Let me get our main car out of the way and then go over to our main perspective. So sorry everyone, we're back now. I was just talking to Paul. Paul went out of the race. He didn't understand the controls, unfortunately, and teleported himself to the pits. Then had a drive through. So that's the end of the race for Paul. But at the moment, David just passed Steven. So Steven's in the GT4, so natural pass there from David. But Brian has dropped down to third, and Brian is now right on the rear bumper of Steven. Brian is just about a tenth to 2/10 of a second behind Steven. The two of them are now battling for second place. 40 minutes left to go in the race. Here you see the two of them. Uh-oh, Brian's going to tag Steven a little bit. Not enough to put him off. Brian does go off into the grass just a bit, but the two of them are going to remain on track. There you see both of them taking very different lines going into that turn. And Steven is going to brake late, and that's going to make room for Brian to make his way through. Clean overtake there from Brian as he goes on the inside of Steven. That'll be P2 secured for Brian. At the moment, Shamus has a 9-second gap in the lead to between himself and Brian. Shane is currently leading in the GT3 class, and Matt is just 7/10 behind. So Keith, who's in the close battle with Matt for the season, is 4 seconds behind Matt. But Matt and Shane are now going to begin their battle for first place. Looking at the last lap times, Shane's last lap was a 2:03.9. Matt's last lap was a 2:04.2. So Matt improves by 0.3. At the moment, Matt's fastest lap is now 0.7 quicker than his current lap is 0.7 quicker than his fastest lap. So Matt seems to be getting quicker. Other than that, the gaps have definitely increased between all the other drivers on the grid. Looks like Steven is about 2 seconds off of Cole at the moment. Or sorry, that's other Hugo. Steven's 3 seconds, now 2.3 seconds off of Brian. was just getting Paul's car out of the way. But at the moment, Shane is still in first. I just heard a scream from someone. I don't know who that is. I can't tell who's off track at the moment. think it might have been Peter, though. We're going to go back to the battle for first. Matt has now gotten just a bit closer. There you see Matt getting super close to Shane now. He's going to get a run just behind Shane. Two of them now approaching the last turn. Looks like Matt has a slightly better run going into the straightaway. It's not a super long straight, but it's definitely enough to take advantage of that slipstream, and that's what Matt's going to do. Matt gets a run down on the outside. Shane's going to hold the inside. Beautiful defending there from Shane, though, going into the hairpin. Shane's going to hold on to the position for now. I would have thought this battle would make way for Keith to get closer, but Keith's last lap was just over a second slower than both Shane and Matt's. So Keith seems to be struggling, and although the two of them are battling, Keith is only getting slower, and I think Peter just had another off track as he loses a position to Chris, but Shane spins, which is going to make way for Matt to go through. Matt is now leading the race with 33 minutes left to go. I don't think they tapped at all. A huge mistake there from Shane, which is going to drop him from first all the way down into fourth. So now Keith will have his eyes on Matt, although he is 7.5 seconds off of Matt, who's leading the race. And Hugo is going to see what he can do at the moment. He has a 3.8 second gap to Keith in front of him. And looks like all our other gaps are over a second. Peter has a 1.8 second gap to Chris after the spin that Peter had. But there hasn't been too many battles yet, but there has been a decent amount of spins. I just heard Shane's sim was rumbling. I think he went heavily off into the curving and possibly off into the grass as well. Looking at the timing boards, Vic is currently on his fastest lap of the race, so we'll show Vic for a little bit. Peter has now closed in the gap to under a second to Chris. I don't know what happened with Chris, though. Chris just slowed down a ton, and Peter is going to easily pass him on the short straight there. But Chris slowed down a ton. I don't know if he just wanted to prevent a possible spin that he was about to have, but that's going to drop Chris into 6th place. That'll move Peter up into 5th place now. The battle for 2nd place is going to be heating up shortly as we see Keith in the front of the camera going off track. I believe he should be getting a cut for that. But the gap is now just at 1 second between Keith and Hugo. This is the battle for second place. Keith is in the McLaren 720S. Hugo rocking that bright yellow Lamborghini Huracan. 30 minutes left. I believe we should be seeing our drivers be making their pit stops in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I just heard Chris grunt, and Chris is off track. Chris was close to Peter, but Chris has a huge mistake, which is going to make way for Vic to pass him and claim 6th place. And just as I say that, Hugo passes Keith. Both of them went off track just as I cut, but then Hugo had a slow rundown on the straightaway, and Keith reclaims the position almost immediately. And there you see Hugo sliding a little bit on the exit, going into the third sector now. Hugo's tires, I think, are going to be possibly dirty and maybe even overheated from the off track as well as the small spin that he just had. But I know Chris's tires are going to be greatly affected. And as I cut to Hugo and Hugo and Keith going back and forth, I also missed David passing Chris, as Chris took too long to recover back on track. So Chris's mistake drops him from 6th place down into 8th place. That makes way for Vic to move up into 6th and David to move up from 7th, or from 8th into 7th. This seems to be the turn where Keith is struggling a bit, as Hugo once again makes up some time going into the last turn here at Suzuka. At the moment, Hugo is 6/10ths back. I don't think that's going to be close enough to get him in the slipstream of Keith, as Keith makes his way down into turn 1. Also want to mention TJ is now getting close to Steven. This is the battle for third in the GT4 class. At the moment, Shamus is currently in first with a gap of 12 seconds between him and Brian. Brian is in second. Brian has a 12-second gap in front and an 11-second gap behind. So Steven is currently in third. TJ is in fourth, but TJ is close, just 8/10ths behind Steven in the battle for third. And just as I say that, the GT3 class heats up as Hugo makes his way past Keith. Hugo now claims second position. Keith is going to flirt with the move on the outside for a second, but is going to tuck back behind Hugo and accept third place for the moment. He's going to make the best of that slipstream and try to make his way on the inside. He's not going to be able to do so, as Hugo has a faster run down the straight. And just as I say that, TJ passed Steven, but then TJ went off track. So TJ got his overtake for just one turn, but then lost the position right back to Steven. And now TJ is 2 seconds behind Steven. So that's a huge mistake from him. That'll put Steven with a little bit of a cushion in third place now in the GT4 class. But we're now taking a look back at our GT3 class. The battle for second place continues. Hugo was just in second on the last lap, but Keith has the run down the straightaway. Keith goes down away on the outside and cleanly goes around Hugo. Hugo goes off into the curbing just a bit, but Keith is going to make his overtake, taking advantage of that slipstream once again. The two drivers are going back and forth. Matt has now entered the pits, which means Vic has now moved up into fifth place. But Hugo goes off track, which is going to lose him about a half second from Keith. 1.2 seconds separates the two drivers now. At the moment, Keith is leading the race as he kisses the grass. Matt is out of the pits in 6th place. There you see Keith hitting the apex beautifully. Now has a 1.2 second gap to Hugo, who sits behind him. TJ also has just over a second gap to Steven. Saw a big mistake there from TJ trying to make the overtake on Steven. But other than that, looks like all drivers have a pretty sizable gap between the drivers in front and behind. Peter remains in 4th. Shane remains in 3rd. Gonna take a look at our timing board to see who's sitting at the bonus 2 extra points for fastest lap in the GT3 class. At the moment, Shane is at the fastest lap with a 203.81. Matt is currently just behind with a 203.87. So very close between the two drivers. There you see Hugo enters the pit lane, which means Shane is going to move up into 2nd place. In the GT4 class, Shamus is leading the race and is also leading the battle for fastest lap. Shamus has a 214.3 and Brian is in 2nd in the battle for fastest lap with a 215.0. Here you see Shane making his way past Cole in the BMW M4 GT4. Natural overtake there from Shane. Another driver is going to enter the pits, and that's going to be David in the Porsche 911. David has now entered the pits. Keith is in 1st, Shane in 2nd. He's followed by Peter and then Vic in 4th in the Mustang. So we have just hit the halfway point of our season finale here at Apex 1. 45-minute race, 22 and a half minutes down, 22 and a half minutes to go here at Suzuka. Looks like about half the grid has made their pit stops. That includes Keith, Matt, Hugo has made his pit stop, as well as David and Steven. Shane, Peter, and Vic still have to make their pit stops, as well as Shamus. Chris has just entered the pit lane. Although Chris is going to tap out of the race. He said he couldn't focus, so that'll be the end of the race for Chris. Another unfortunate ending for one of our drivers here on the day. But Matt is now about to make his way past Vic as he goes down the start-finish straightaway. The two of them going door to door. Matt's going to be on the inside. Vic's going to be on the outside. Vic is going to break a bit earlier than Matt, and Matt is going to make his way past Vic to claim 3rd place. Keith is now exiting the pits with David just barely out in front of him. So the two of them are going to be battling it out on cold tires, although David is very conservative from the start. And Keith is just going to blow right by David. I don't know if maybe David knew that Keith has been running faster throughout the race and just decided to get out of the way. But pretty clean pass from Keith there, getting out of the pit lane. And that'll put Keith into 6th place at the moment. Or no, David actually pit twice now, so that's why David let Keith by. Because David is now an entire lap down on Keith. So some good sportsmanship there from David. David definitely hasn't had the race that he's hoped for, but you know, making sure to keep it respectful and making sure he doesn't ruin any of the other drivers' race. But yeah, as I mentioned, Keith is now in 6th. Shamus remains the leader in the GT4 class. And at the moment, Shane is leading the GT3 class. Although Shane is now going to make his pit stop. And Peter is going to make his pit stop as well. So the two of them are now going to drop down. Matt has already made his pit stop, which means Matt is going to reclaim first place for the race. Vic is also going to make his way past the two drivers in pit lane, meaning Vic is now in 2nd and Hugo is now in 3rd, although Vic still has to make his pit stop. So 19 minutes left in the race. Vic deciding to take a later, different pit strategy than the rest of the drivers. But Peter is now going to exit the pit lane. I think we just saw Keith make his way past Peter. Peter's going to be just under 6 seconds behind Keith in the battle for 5th. But at the moment, Matt looks to be the star of the night. Is still battling, hoping to get the fastest lap, but at the moment, he's leading the race, which will earn him 25 points and will definitely give him an edge over Keith in the overall standings. So Vic has now entered the pit lane, which is going to drop him back into 6th. Keith is in 4th at the moment with a 1.4 second gap between him and Shane. But David has seemed to catch up to Keith a little bit, although David is a lap down. David is right on the rear bumper of Keith and might even make an overtake if Keith ends up slowing him down too much. So still 16 minutes left in the race to go. We're 2/3 done now and a third left in the race. Matt is leading by 8.5 seconds over Hugo. So a pretty comfortable lead from Matt at the moment. His fastest lap isn't that much quicker than Hugo's, just 2/10 quicker than Hugo's to be exact. Also, Hugo's last lap was 7/10 quicker than Matt. So although there is a big gap, it seems like overall Matt has been pretty, just overall, you know, pretty consistent, more consistent than Hugo. But you know, still some time left, and Hugo seems to possibly be cutting down the gap. But Keith is going to be looking to cut down the gap to Shane as Keith continues to fight for crucial points here in the overall league standings. But Keith goes off into the grass and over the curbing once again. That has to be another track cut there. I don't think I could see in real time how many track cuts they get, but yeah, that looked intense. But anyways, this is the last 14 minutes now of multi-class racing, at least for the near future here at Apex One. Our next league we have announced will be in the Formula 4 cars, and that'll be running on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. We will also be doing a Sunday night league, which will be announced tomorrow on our Instagram. So if you guys don't follow us, give us a follow, apex1.nj. We will be announcing that later on in the day, probably around 5 p.m. But it'll be some form of sports cars. So you guys will have to stay tuned for that. But yeah, that'll be a Sunday night league. Should be exciting. And after this league concludes, we're actually gonna, next week on Wednesday, we're gonna be doing an endurance race. So we do monthly endurance races here at Apex One. The signups for this one are closed. We unfortunately sold out of spots for those that were looking to get into the race. But this will be more of a Grand Prix, not as much endurance race. This is the first longer format open wheel race that we're doing. There you see Keith though bumping Steven as well as David as the two GT3 drivers make their way past the slower GT4 car. But yeah, as I mentioned, next Wednesday we'll be doing a open wheel longer format race. It'll be the Formula 2 cars at Miami. So the F2 Miami Grand Prix should be an interesting race. I think this is most, if not all, drivers' first times racing in the F2 car. So should be interesting. It'll be an hour-and-a-half race, meaning all drivers will need to make at least one pit stop for tires as well as fuel. So yeah, if you guys want to watch that, we'll be live streaming that on our YouTube channel. It'll be same channel right here, and we'll be going live at about 8:15, 8:30 for that race. That'll be next Wednesday. Peter has just taken another pit stop. I don't know what happened with Peter there, but that's going to drop him down into 6th and is going to move Vic up into 5th place in the Ford Mustang. Peter remains out in the pits. I see him getting up from his sim. I think he's going to call it quits for the night. Peter had a great league overall and still had a drop week left to give. So I think Peter's going to decide to use this as his drop week. But other than that, Matt continues to lead the race as he makes his way past TJ in that McLaren GT4. Second GT4 McLaren there on the grid. So yeah, I was just talking to Peter. Peter's in the GT3 class. He was stuck behind one of the GT4 drivers, the slower traffic, and got frustrated trying to pass him. Couldn't get the overtake and ended up spinning out. So, as I mentioned, Peter still had a drop week to give on the league, so he's going to call it quits for the night. and that'll move Peter into 8th overall in the GT3 class. But just heard Hugo screaming over from his sim over at TJ to get out of the way. TJ's now going to get out of the way in the McLaren for Hugo in the faster car to get by. But looking at the fastest laps, nothing has changed. Shane currently holds the fastest lap with a 2:03.8. Matt is in second with a 2:03.87. So still just 600ths separates the two drivers. Both of them are on hard tires. Keith decided to make a pit stop because he switched to the soft tire. So this should be interesting. 9 minutes left in the race. Keith still has a 7-second gap to Shane, but Keith is on the soft tire while Shane is on that hard compound. So as soon as the two drivers cross the line, we'll be taking a look at the lap times to see how much quicker Keith is running. But this could be a gamble from Keith, but either way, he's going to be looking to get those extra points for fastest lap. There you see Keith getting a little loose with his rear tires. David is lapped but remains in front of Keith. David now passes Cole as Cole goes off into the grass. Keith is also going to pass him, although Cole is in the slower GT4 class. It is a little bit of a messy clearance there from Cole. So you get some dirt on the two left tires there. But heard another one of our drivers screaming in some frustration. David has now made way for Keith, though, to get the overtake. David is, of course, a blue flag driver. But at the moment in our GT4 class, Shamus remains the leader in the Pizza Hut Camaro. So I think if Shamus holds on to the lead, that'll be the league championship secured for Shamus. And I believe his first. I don't know for sure, but could possibly be his first league title. But Matt is looking at a win right now for the race. Looking at our overall league standings, I think that would have Matt secured at 3rd in the overall league standings, possibly even jumping him ahead of Peter, although I don't think it would. Steven has a big spin. Or no. Steven went... I don't know what Steven's doing. Steven went off track and didn't know what to do there. Didn't know if he could make his way past the barriers. Almost got a penalty trying to reverse too much. But a huge mistake there from Steven. That's going to cost him a ton of time. At the moment, he's in 3rd in the the GT4 class. But 5 minutes left to go. This is the final 5 minutes left in the season. Big mistake there from Steven, but definitely have to give a shout out to Steven. Steven improved greatly throughout the course of the season. At the moment, Steven is in third place in the GT4 class, and I think he's going to finish in third. But Steven has definitely showed his improvement. Looking at the results, he started the first race, he got 5th. The third race, he got 6th place. But by week 5, Steven ended up getting 2nd, which was his best result of the season. Also in week 4, Steven ended up getting 3rd, which was another great result from him. So I've seen many of the drivers improving throughout the course of the season, but Steven has definitely been one of the most improved. So great job from him. But I just saw one of the other drivers go off track. I don't know who that was because I know Paul's race is done. Sorry, I'm back. So someone decided to hop on one of the sims of one of the league racers, so just had to get him off. But Matt was leading the race, but Matt pits. I think Matt ran out of fuel or was about to run out of fuel. He's going to have to pit, which means Hugo makes his way past Matt, and Keith is now making his way down the start-finish straight, although Matt is now driving out of the pit lane. So this is going to be some end-of-race fireworks between the two of them. Matt has now exited the pits, still fairly ahead of Keith. 3.5 seconds separates the two drivers. So Matt had to pit there. I don't know if he had to top off on fuel, but super quick pit stop there from Matt. And that's going to lose him first place. Definitely some important points lost there from Matt. But he does at least remain out in front of Keith. But that'll give Hugo the lead with 1.5 minutes to go. So just under 1 minute left to go now in the race, plus overtime, which will give the leader an extra lap or two to cross the line once the time runs out. And at the moment, Hugo is the leader by 16 seconds after that late pit stop from Matt. Shamus is the leader of the GT4 class. Also holds the fastest lap of the race. So you see at the top, leader has 2 laps to go. Although Hugo is currently halfway through his current lap, which means 1.5 laps left to go for Hugo as he closes out the multi-class season here at Apex 1. So the champion of the league is showing his dominance once again at Suzuka this time, and will secure a win for the final race of the season. But other than that, the gaps seem to be pretty big. Keith was not able to make up the time over Matt. Currently sits 4.5 seconds behind Matt. And in fourth place is Shane in the Acura NSX. So you see Hugo approaching the last turn, gonna make his way down the start-finish straight now. And Hugo will now cross the line, and this will be his last lap in the Lamborghini Huracan for the season. So another dominant win from Hugo, as I mentioned. Hugo also won our last league, and that'll be this league secured for Hugo. Matt, I believe, will finish the league in third, but we're going to have to do the maths afterwards. We're also going to have to do any potential post-race reviews for any incidents, and then once that's done, we're going to have to calculate with the drop weeks to see which driver it was that ended up winning and finishing where. But Hugo is now approaching Sector 2 on his last lap. Shamus is now approaching Sector 3, the last turn of the track, as he leads the GT4 class. But race is about to be over. For those of you that have tuned in throughout the duration of the multi-class season, thank you all for tuning in throughout the season and for watching and supporting the channel. And if you guys want to get involved in competitions like these, check out our Instagram, apex1.nj. We post all events and more serious, more long-term commitment competitions such as the leagues. Everything will be posted there. We do have a Formula 4 league that will be starting up in a month from now. That will be racing on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. And then tomorrow on our Instagram, we will be announcing the next sports car league. But there you see it. Hugo has now crossed the line. And congratulations to Hugo on another dominant win on the season. Matt is now going to cross the line for second place. 18 points for Matt. A very good season in the books in the Lexus RCF. Keith now crosses the line for third. Shane is going to make his way around the last turn for fourth in the Lexus. So the 4 drivers have now concluded their season. A happy but sad ending for all of them. I'm sure they're all going to miss the GT3 cars. But great season from all drivers. Battled it out until the very end. We saw some last minute drama from Matt as he had to make a pit stop to top off on fuel, which made way for Hugo to pass him and win the race. But other than that, Shane has crossed the line. Vic will be crossing the line soon, but we're going to go on board for Shamus as he approaches the last few turns of Suzuka and will cross the line for another win of the season, which will secure him the league championship. Although Shamus spins and bangs into the wall just as he's about to cross the line. A messy end there from Shamus as he has a spin right before the start finish in the Camaro. We'll say it was planned and go with it. But congratulations to Shamus on the win. Brian is now going to cross the line to claim second. So the two of them had some great battles throughout the entire season. But Shamus is just going to edge him out in the overall league standings. But yeah, guys, that'll be all for the night. That is it from us here at Suzuka, here at Apex One. Thank you all again for tuning into the streams. And we will be back live next week, Wednesday the 17th. We will be live between 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. We will be having a 25-minute qualifier, F2s at Miami, followed by a 1.5-hour endurance race. So thank you all for tuning in. And thank you for watching the league and supporting us. And I will see you all next week for the